online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Under the Dome fans. Welcome back to the Under the Dome after show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Rocking out to some of the birds, a little classic Turn, Turn, Turn for this episode, Season 2, Episode 12, Turn, Turn, Turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And
there's time to every purpose under heaven.
So, this episode...
A time to laugh, a time to mourn. I don't know the rest of this stuff.
It's a time to reap. A time to reap. I'm Matt Lieberman. I don't know if I said that earlier. Jacque Borowski's here.
Holla.
Carrie Long is here.
Hi, guys.
Amanda Fields-Bennett, not here. She is busy, and we hope that she is back for the finale next week. Can't believe this season is already coming to a close.
It's fast,
it
surprisingly.
seems so short ago that we sat down in these chairs. Well, maybe not these chairs, the chairs in Studio B. And we're like, oh my God, this show is back. What's happening? And to think of all of the weird stuff that has happened in the last 12 weeks, or even the last 12 days in the universe of Under the Dome, it boggles the mind that we are here for the finale.
My mind is so boggled right now.
You look boggled.
You look boggled.
Totally boggled.
We're going to get into it right now. So, the Dome, after turning last week, which, okay, this title, right?
Yes, we need to discuss this title.
This title.
Episode title, Turn.
Would have made sense last week because the Dome was in fact turning.
Yes.
Repeatedly, around and around and around. This week, no turning. Instead, smushy smushy. Okay? Is Dome shrinky. But they did not call it shrink, they called it turn. This is where the story takes a turn? Because it's taken 1,000 turns so far, and I can't really discern this turn for being any different from the others.
I think it's an indication of what's coming. Like, there's a major shift under the Dome, which, I'm going to say it. Are you okay over there? I think they're moving towards a 3rd season. Oh God, that's a huge vein in your forehead.
It's possible, despite the plummeting ratings. Once again, this show, the way that it is financed, is so incredibly unique.
And cheap.
It's so cheap to make. It seems like such a no-brainer for them to make a 3rd season. And you know, Neil Baer, I read a few articles over the course of the week. He changed his ultimate game plan for the series. He sees it playing out over 3 to 5 episodes. And though the original plan was to end this season with another episode that could feel kind of like a finale if you needed it to be, apparently there will be 0 resolution, and it will end on a major cliffhanger. And you were saying before the show, Carrie, that all the actors have been talking about, like, you know...
Yeah, they're all leading. They're all, like, dropping hints that, oh, something's going to happen in this episode that will make people riot in the streets if there's not a 3rd season. So a lot of that's probably, you know, a little propaganda for a 3rd season. But I would not be surprised at all. I think it's going to completely live on Amazon Prime.
I think that would be so smart.
I could see that.
I could see them even turning over and be like, hey fans, do you want a 3rd season? And then getting people to interact and vote. I can really see that happening because you're seeing a lot of shows shift to that interaction on social media.
So
right?
like, cause Amazon Prime, when they make new shows, they put all their pilots up on the service and have people vote. Why not throw Under the Dome into the mix? Like, hey, do you want a 3rd season of Under the Dome, or would you like a 1st season of Hysteria, which is a terrible show? See, this show, at least, like, we still want it to be great, and like there is so much fun to be had watching it. That show is just painful to watch.
Yeah, no,
it's just boring. Okay. Anyway. Now that I'm done crapping on other people's
I think it was called Turn because it's based partially on, you have Lyle reading that Bible passage, and then the song that references that Bible passage plays at the end. And I think it just ties in Lyle's crazy biblical ideas in his last episode.
Is it really his last? Is there any chance he could be back next week?
No, that's why they dressed him up in that immaculate three-piece suit, which, where did he get that suit from?
Maybe he looted, like I was suggesting that people do in the last episode.
Yeah.
Maybe he owned it and he knew he was going to die, so he put on his death suit.
It's just me and Pauline. We're gonna go to heaven. We're gonna walk to heaven together. It's
on the cards.
It's in the cards. It's in the cards. It's in the cards. It's in the cards. Yeah.
And I love how this whole series, Lyle has been wearing WTF outfits, and finally
he was
he's
like,
check out my suit.
Bam!
Yeah, I was not ready for Lyle swag. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
He spent the whole episode in like a just a dumpy white V-neck undershirt and like some pants he found in a dumpster, and then out of nowhere he's just dressed in the nines because he's like, I can sense God's coming for me.
I love it. And then he's tapping his foot in his whole, like, we'll get to it, but I just love that moment.
His hair was like groomed, like it was like practically like wings of fury. Yeah.
An angel.
An angel barber.
Okay, his hair wasn't that great.
Yeah, but when you
the suit
kill
was
someone, when you stab someone, I don't
gotta
think
look
you're
good.
going to heaven.
No?
No.
No one gave
That's
Lyle
a
the
murder.
memo.
That's a murder.
They don't have email, so he didn't get it.
For all of
He's
his,
probably CC'd on a memo about that.
I feel like he only read the New Testament.
He really should have moved on.
He should have maybe like moved back and read the 10 Commandments where they say don't murder. And also don't covet your neighbor's wife. Both of those things.
I feel
How
sometimes
did we got
there are certain people who take liberties with the Bible, and I think Lyle's one of them.
Yeah, although, question, when someone fakes their own death, are they, and they turn out to still be alive, are they still married, or is the marriage invalid?
Oh. As in
I
Pauline
think they're
and Big
still
Jim?
married.
They're still married?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions under the dome because
He was getting ready to
Sam
court
and Melanie,
Rebecca Pine.
Little freaky.
Yeah.
And then, the whole Big Jim. Pauline. A lot of
Here,
freaky
let's
under
start
the
at the
dome.
top, and we'll come back to this because
back to
it's
freaky.
this whole ending is so bizarre, left field, bonkers.
It took a turn.
It took a huge turn. It turned off a cliff into a hole or
a wall.
into the loving arms of our favorite school. We'll find out in just a moment. So, the dome is shrinking. Why? Because the egg is outside and the dome is still angry. And it is trying to show that it is no longer going to be benevolent. Okay? So, it is shrinking.
Yes. The angry dome of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And I loved that we saw the dome was actually shrinking. Thank God for green screen.
Yes.
Oh, wait. No, that was terrible green screen.
Oh, you mean that tree falling? Or you mean the dust swirling around that
just about
hole where she's
yeah.
just like in a hole and they're like, and they just put dust swirling around it to make it look like maybe she was sinking into a hole, but she was just standing in a hole.
That actually reminded me of the Once Upon a Time green screening because they have a lot of green screening on that show. And
I don't get it. I've worked on green. Like, you can make, like, I have friends who have no budget and make phenomenal scenes out of green
But they
screen,
also
and
have
then-
way more time. This show is done on a schedule.
True.
They don't have a long post schedule. Yeah, I mean, some shows, I don't know when this show stopped shooting, but they'll still be shooting while a show is on the air. Yeah, so it's entirely possible that they just didn't have time to make it better. It's entirely possible. So Rebecca and the kids are watching it shrink, and they're like, we better go to the school, which is the solution that everyone has to every problem.
Education's the
Let's
answer.
go to the school. And they have a conversation with Julia and Barbie, and Rebecca's like, the dome's shrinking. I need to find out why it's shrinking. I'm doing calculations. And they're like, maybe the dome's shrinking because the dome's mad at us. And she's like, the dome is going to protect us thing. Haven't you gotten over that yet? Haven't you seen the facts? Listen to me, sister. I'm all about the facts, and I'm not going to believe nothing until I get facts in front of this face. That's Rebecca Pine.
Do you like how Rebecca Pine took the time on her Surface tablet to come up with a program that shows us how the dome is shrinking? Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
If she hadn't shown us that, I wouldn't have understood it.
What you don't know.
This is what the Surface tablet is
capable of.
of.
Use it in your presentations. Get ahead at work. Surface tablet.
What you don't even realize is it took her mere minutes to create that advanced 3D model of the dome shrinking and the rate at which it would shrink, simply because the Surface tablet is effortless, easy to use, elegant, and so lightweight and cheap.
I want one.
I want one too.
What? I don't need this iPhone.
Where can I get one of those Surface tablets, Carrie?
Under the dome.
Oh, great. Let's all head under the dome and get Surface tablets at a great discount. Okay.
We can't use the internet, but that's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
Not the tablet's fault.
That's not the tablet's fault. That's the internet's fault. And, you know, Julia's like, you should have more belief. And Rebecca's like, you shouldn't believe in anything.
I thought they were buddies again, though.
No, never for long, because you can't have two alpha ladies under the same school roof.
Kitty.
Just a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah.
So, because the dome is shrinking, Barbie runs around to all the houses to get people out of their houses. But the last house that he goes to is Julia's, which is like right by the dome. And I'm like, come on, bro, you gotta get over there. And so Julia's house is now demolished. So like, let's just do a little house count. Okay, so Joe and Nori's house is gone. Julia's house is gone. What other houses are gone? We have a lot of the clinic has been demolished. The roof caved in.
Yeah.
Apparently the cement factory just up and disappeared.
Yeah.
Along with the tunnels underneath it.
Whatever happened to the house of that guy last year who was trying to fight Big Jim? The guy with the farmhouse.
Yeah. What about that guy? I don't know.
I thought he died, but the farmhouse is still...
The farmhouse must still be there.
Yeah.
Maybe all that propane. Whatever happened to all the propane? There were so many episodes about propane.
Whatever happened to Carolyn, and why is she letting people do things?
Where is she? She hasn't been... There have been so many disasters, and Nori is not concerned one bit about her mother. Not one bit.
It's true.
But Big old Ben was in this episode.
Ben was in this episode. He looks like he's 45.
I know. I think that's why they're like, oh, sorry, Ben, we're going to have to pull you out of a lot of episodes. You aged a lot.
And wait,
like,
he showed up again for 5 minutes.
And why was he sad?
Yeah.
Why was he so sad? That was not Ben's personality to me. I was like,
death.
What just happened? And also, can we point out that the dome, when it was moving forward, it was not moving at such an accelerated pace that it would smash into a building and then kill someone. Like I guess the carpenter, was he in his house or in his car? I didn't really understand that portion, but at least the guy who died, who Ben saw die, it was like, seriously, you could run from the dome running at that pace and still be alive.
Especially if you're in your car, you could drive. And if it was a Prius.
Wow. A Prius plug-in. Then you won't have to worry at all.
Maybe he was just discovering only Julia's car works under the dome. And that's why he got crushed in the car. Just a theory.
No,
it doesn't feel like he could have run away, and maybe Ben was just sad because that man was
a lot of
not
scenes.
fast enough.
That's the thing about this episode in particular. Like, we pick on this show a lot because it's goofy, but a lot of scenes in this episode just plain didn't make sense.
Yes.
That was one of them. Another one.
I felt like they were trying to put too many things together to come up to the finale.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, we gotta tie up all these loose ends.
All of a sudden, Pauline was just so on board with Big Jim. Everything that he had to say. That scene where she talks about, like when Lyle pulled me onto the dance floor at the dance, and he's like, well, it still took you 6 months to break up with him. And she's like, but I didn't I?
Okay,
and,
Matt, in her defense, if your choices were Lyle or Big Jim,
she has a point.
What would you choose?
Right, but it was just the way that the scene was written, which, at the time, she dated Lyle for a reason, okay? And it wasn't just to get back at her parents, or because he asked her every single day. She broke up with him because all he talked about was going to heaven with her, probably. Or maybe he was a crappy lay. But the key issue is the way that this scene is structured, where she's just like, well, I broke up with him to be with you, you big nut. You know, are you regretting that you let him live? And he's like, no, I did that for you. And she's like, that's different. When that's the same thing that he says about everything. Like, the scene just didn't make sense. It was just like, it felt like they were artificially putting Big Jim and Pauline together on the same side so that Big Jim could show that he's got depth.
Well, I still think that in the last episode,
he started showing depth.
He started showing
and
that.
that's why,
Yeah.
okay.
That one I'm gonna stand behind because I really did like that moment where he kisses her because I had been waiting for that. I wanted to see that they were actually a couple. Like, you don't really believe that her and Lyle would have gotten together, and you want to see some sort of chemistry between them.
What do you mean? It's in the cards. It's in the cards.
I was waiting to see that kind of chemistry.
All right, fine. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice also just to see Big Jim, like, I mean, granted, she got sucked into his whole, like, the dome chose me, dome Jesus stuff.
Yes, which I also loved. I was like, she is converted to Dome Jesus' religion.
She's a disciple of the dome.
She is a disciple of the dome.
Dome Jesus has a swimmer's body, in her opinion. Yeah, it's weird. It's just, it felt like it came out of nowhere. It didn't feel earned. I give this show a lot of crap, but like more often than not, it earns a lot of its stuff. It's not necessarily elegant, but the show earns it. And for me, this reconciliation does not feel earned. That's just my personal opinion, and you guys feel free to disagree with me. But
in this particular situation, I disagree. But there are other things in this episode that I felt weren't earned. Like,
let's talk about them.
Well, like that situation with Ben, where it's like, Ben is obviously a fan pleaser, let's be honest. Everybody wants to see him. But to just throw him in there as like a fan caveat and then have him be just like so un-Ben-like, and also have his sadness come from something that seems so implausible. You're just like, what? I don't understand why you did this scene or what it means or anything.
Where is his hat? Where is Truman? Why does he suddenly seem so tall? And
he has a shadow, like a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, what happened?
He's still gnarly.
Just recast him. I don't think we would have noticed.
He's not in enough of the episode.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that read false to me was that scene where they throw in this thing where Julia's picking up the picture of her husband, kind of looks at it fondly, and then Barbie's like says something to the effect of, it's okay to mourn him, and she's like, well, he's old news now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, really?
Yeah, no, he's like, you know, like, you should take it. He was your husband. And she's like, that was my old life. You're my new life, main squeeze. Get over here. Give me some sugar. What? My house is falling down around me? Better walk out real slowly in heels.
Because I got stabbed yesterday in my leg.
Yes. So that also,
It's like, what?
Julia got stabbed yesterday, and supposedly he fixed this situation. If he fixed it, her pants should not be the same pants that she put on yesterday with the same bandage on top of the pants. Why
did she not? Tighteness.
Yeah. Why did she not take off her pants? This didn't have to happen on screen.
It could have, though.
She needed to take off her pants, clean the wound.
Yeah.
You don't just leave it there with sticky
That's a
blood,
hole
terrible
through your leg.
tetanus situation, grossness.
And why did you leave your heels on?
Yes, that was the other
You're
thing
in
too.
your house.
She's limping in heels. It's like
Put
you
on
could be
some jellies or something.
You could be wearing comfortable pants. You could be wearing your jellies or your Uggs, and you would have to have the bandage on the inside now.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's just dirty and weird to have it on the outside.
But you have to have it on the outside, otherwise no one would remember that she has a hole through her leg.
Right.
This is what frustrates me about some television shows, because I feel that the writers don't trust their audience. We know what happened in the last episode. We're not stupid. So don't make us feel stupid by doing things like that.
Right, you have like a whole package at the top of what happened last week on Under the Dome. What do we need to know to enjoy this episode? Just do a nice long piece about how Julia has a hole in her leg because she got stabbed through the leg. Don't worry, it won't bother her for the entire episode.
She could limp, though. Even if you had her maybe like change her pants and like the bandage was on under the pants, or it was assumed that, you could still have her limp up to the dome and people would be like, I get it. That's all you need.
How do you feel about Julia's limping this week, Carrie?
I had a bit of a conniption because she the slow limp up to the dome to give it a big long talk and like, what do you want from me? And then the dome's like, you, and it's like, I'm gonna shrink, and then she like quickly backs away without a limp. In reverse,
but then she
healed.
walks away with a limp.
Right. I was confused. And it's like, why do you have heels on? Any woman be like, done with the heels. But she has great hair, and with great hair comes high responsibility for fashion awareness under the dome.
Very true.
Just saying.
Okay, before we get into the rest of the episode, besides our gripes, I just want to talk briefly about iTunes. You know, I say it every week. Why do I say it? Because it's the truth. Go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube, because it's the best way to support AfterBuzz TV and this show in particular. It's how we get our sponsors, how we get guests, and it's the best way for you to give feedback to us about the shows that you listen to and you watch. So get over there, do it. We appreciate your support. Thank you. Melanie is sick. Melanie is sick, and then she's okay, and then she's sick again, and then she's okay, and then she's really sick.
And
okay,
she's still a corpse.
She's still a corpse.
Just want to point that
in
out.
love with her best friend's son, who she met 11 days ago.
Oh.
After
I
his
love that
girlfriend
nephew
was
of her
murdered.
Former boyfriend.
Nephew of her former boyfriend.
I am such a big fan of like soapy, crazy romances. The soapier and the crazier
I know
the romance
you like
it
Julia
is.
and Barbie together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Big Jim and Pauline, this Melody and Junior thing. I'm all on board.
You're romantic.
I'm all on board. I'm very romantic.
Well, okay, I will give.
But not if it's like practical, like people like old people in their pajamas. I don't know. But
How is that soapy?
that's why I said I don't.
okay,
I'm
you
not.
don't like
I'm more
practical
interested.
romances.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the like really crazy soapy ones.
Would you
'cause
date
that's-
a revived corpse?
Okay, no.
Okay, well I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying it makes for good television.
Okay, fine.
As far as something you want to watch, like I want to watch that now. I'm invested.
All right, and I'll admit, Melanie, she's convincing when it comes to the Junior stuff. She like is so happy when she sees him, and like that's like adorable. Whatever. Fine. I have a
either
heart.
he reminds her of Sam, or for the first time in her life, someone isn't treating her crappy. I don't know.
They're trying to kill her.
You look just like my ex-boyfriend, your uncle. Weird.
You dated him now. You're dating him now. You dated him
25
years ago.
Hold her hands. Ridiculous, because there's a principle that says that something can exist in the past and the future at the same time.
Well, I feel just because there's that principle there doesn't necessarily mean that they have to hold her hand. It should have been enough that they're all touching each other.
Yeah.
You know, I was just also, that was another thing that read false for me, where it's like, why is holding her hand any different than touching her? How does that make her...
Because we need another obstacle.
But the whole quantum physics thing kind of like overcame that obstacle. And then I was like, what? That's... Like, this episode was just all about, like, calling out everything that didn't make sense the entire season. Like, the whole thing about explaining to Rebecca Pine about Melanie and going to Andrea's house and the whole freaking lima bean thing, which I'm sure we're going to pull apart. And then Melanie's body, like, all standing around and, like, but you hold hands and then you hold hands and then, but then quantum physics.
Wait
like,
a second. Lima beans.
You know what I would have liked is for them to pick some sort of random character to be the extra hand. Like
Carolyn?
Ben.
Or Ben. Who
Yeah.
knew?
Bring him
like-
back into the fold.
Yes.
Give us an excuse to like
They're
a
like,
character.
Yeah.
Give it to Hunter. Give it to Hunter.
Yes.
He came in here as a spy, but the
Yes.
Dome wanted him here for a reason, to become the new hand. Like, that would have been a nice little twist.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been more fascinating to me because I was waiting. I think also for me, I was waiting. I was like, who's going to be the eighth hand now?
Well, didn't you think it was going to have to be Lyle because of the original four and then the new four? Like,
He was the
he was
original
there,
four.
yeah.
No,
Sorry, his three-piece
But
suit
we need to
threw me.
give Hunter something to
He looks
do
so different.
other than show his midriff and his man lines.
Do you think they were like, wait, just pull it up a little bit? There you
pull
go.
it up a
his
little
shirt
bit more.
They're doing that one for me too because I'm also a fan of the Barbie Hunter possible romance.
I was like, kiss. No, don't. Not Hunter.
Because he's always fighting him.
Yeah.
Why is he always trying to touch him?
He's intimidated.
because you betrayed me.
Because they're both so beautiful, they can't stop touching each other.
Oh, your pecs, man. Do you work out under the dome? Like, do you?
This would be the most awesome love triangle ever, to have Julia, Barbie, and Hunter.
It would be a huge step for CBS to have the leads of their show in a romantic triangle with another man who's after the man. Okay? It would be huge.
That is deep.
Yeah.
And an egg.
And
thrown
I'm all
into
for
it.
it.
Yeah, that would be
Jackie
a
wants
turn.
it.
That would be a big left turn that I'd be so into, because at the very least it would be the show not just being weird, but embracing, okay, we're the oddball show. Let's just do everything.
Yes.
Let's just do everything. Screw it. Okay? Let's throw out all ideas that involve green screen and just put all of our money into getting great actors who can handle good material about people in a crazy situation that cannot exist in the real world. And what would happen?
The thing is, they have
I want this
good
show to be
actors.
The Leftovers. I want this show to be the freaking Leftovers,
Yeah.
which is the
Sammy
best
O.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I'm so
You take
Don't tell me.
an impossible and harrowing situation, like being trapped under a dome for God knows how long, and then you show how people would realistically react to that level of stress. You don't need problems of the week. You don't need fires. You don't need storms. You don't need shrinky dome. You don't need spinny dome.
And you don't need resolve.
No.
Just a moment in time for these characters in this world.
Exactly. Just how would these people react to having to survive? The stuff that like feels annoying on this show right now because they treat it as annoying, like we're gonna run out of food, the people might die. No, treat that with gravity. We might have to kill each other. That's horrifying. Let's treat it with gravity and respect. Let's make this into high art instead of what it is, which is not high art.
The thing that also frustrates me is that we have some really, and I've been using the word frustrated
Instead of
a lot.
lima beans.
We have some really good actors on this show.
Yeah.
They can handle it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They can handle it.
Give it to them.
Then hire writers.
I gotta know though, like from season 1 to season 2, like we all fell in love in season 1 with Under the Dome. Do you think it's only because it wasn't part of the book anymore? It was being created, and that's
I think
why
it's
season
the
2?
departure of Brian K. Vaughan from the.
You think?
I think it has to do.
Neil Baer having unrestricted control of the show.
So the direction.
Yeah.
It's all on direction.
Yeah, because I mean, even just in interviews,
They have all new writers too. I think.
whole new writing staff.
Yeah.
I mean,
But Stephen King is still a part of it.
No.
You would think.
he was maybe in some conversations at the top of the season, and
We
he wrote.
mentioned his name.
He wrote the
best
first episode.
this season.
Oh God, was the first episode really the best episode this season?
Yes.
I feel like next week could be pretty good. This week was a little hokey, but I feel like they found a little rhythm.
Yeah,
little bit.
Next week could be cool.
Okay, back to my gay romance.
Now, or back
Yes.
to the story. Can we do the
Okay.
story?
Yes. So back to my gay romance. Though.
Right,
They
so-
already had an interracial homosexual couple on this show,
Which was great.
which was great. It's like I don't see
Except
why.
then they killed one and then pushed the other one to the sidelines to make sure that, like, I mean, why does this show take risks and then shy away from them?
Yes.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you found out that Barbie actually, and I know this is total like fanfic stuff right now, but whatever, if Barbie actually liked Hunter, just think of the possibilities. And that's the only kind of thing you need for this show to be captivating. You don't need to throw in a problem of the week. You just throw in people.
are the most interesting problems of the week ever. They are the problems of the planet. We suck. People are complicated and messy and selfish, and we ruin everything. And when placed in a corner or placed under stress, we do
under a
great,
dome.
or under a dome, we do great and terrible things.
Yes.
You know? So it can't just be Big Jim who's bad, okay? We're all bad a little bit. Let's fail each other and then have to pick up the pieces.
Yes.
All right? So Hunter's a spy, and Barbie's upset, and he won't even let him speak. You don't say a word.
God, you're so strong.
So strong.
You have nice abs.
I like your glasses.
Yeah. And Joe's like, no, he like helped us and blah blah blah, and you know he's like,
I love him too.
yeah.
Too much?
So Barbie takes him to the edge of the dome where the dude is once again with the laptop, and he comes out and he puts a gun to his neck. He's like, get Don Barbara here now.
Cue dramatic music.
At least we know, though, that Barbie's dad cares enough about his employees that if he thinks they're dying, he's willing to rescue them.
Right.
Well, did he come for Hunter, or was it he came to be like, well, what's my son up to?
I think it was more like, what's my son up
both.
to? It's like, oh shit, my son knows my plan.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill my guy, and we may still need the people under the dome for something. We still can't. Here, they need Hunter to convince them to help move the egg, which none of them can touch.
Right.
So the fact that they're no longer going to have any kind of person helping them under the dome, the fact that they know about the plan, means that they need to reach some kind of armistice if they're going to move forward.
Right.
That was one of my favorite scenes this week, too, with the funny, because you had a really funny opportunity because it's so hard to write and type as fast as these people are talking, and so to see the interpretation of the person who's writing of the pure emotion that's coming out of Barbie and his
I don't
dad.
believe you. You're lying. Yeah.
And I did like that it
that.
was like kind of summed up when they, you know, it was a very hard scene, I'd imagine, to direct, do, and I think it played out well.
I think it would be really funny, and I hope someone does this where you just take out the dramatic music and you just leave only the sounds of them like waiting around and writing and typing and breathing, and it would have been really funny.
But back to that point too, but then the father only decided to do what Barbie wanted because of Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie's alive. Your daughter's alive, and she's still 17. Good on you, bro. Weird. Yeah.
He didn't question that whole weird age thing.
No, he saw the proof. It was in the pudding.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the proof was in the Surface 3, available
Joe's
from
vlog.
Windows, from Microsoft.
There you go.
Do you like, though, how I also liked how Barbie basically tells Joe he's a terrible spy?
Yeah, Joe, you're a terrible spy. Also, you know nothing about Spuds McKenzie. Nothing.
That's the second time he's worn that shirt.
Well,
or a
it's-
version of that
same
shirt.
He just hasn't changed since yesterday.
If Julia's not going to change her shoes with a stab wound to her leg, then by God, Joe's going to wear a dirty dog shirt.
He's going to wear that dirty dog shirt
I
all
want him to wear
season
his
long.
Weekend at Bernie's shirt. I'm waiting for that to make a
All
comeback.
right, all right. So, we got to get through this. So basically Don goes to rescue the egg, and he's able to touch it and lift
Why?
it because he's doing the dome's bidding. It's why the dome stopped shrinking, and the dome trusts him. But then the other dudes are like, listen, we all have orders. You can't take it anywhere.
Right? Malik?
I don't remember.
The bad guy.
Malik. It was just Malik.
I can't believe he turned up.
That, to me, was one of the most interesting scenes as far as like moving the plot forward.
That was a
because
turn.
because they didn't pick up what happened to him. He's just there, and now we're like, even though Melanie's better, we're like, well, what's going to happen to the egg? What is happening with the situation? I liked that.
And who gave him the orders? Are we assuming it came from the president, their military? Like, where are his orders now coming? Because we always thought, at least I was in the impression, that Don, Barbie's dad, was the one giving out all the
Right.
Yeah, but even he's
not
working
anymore.
for somebody.
He just got trumped.
Uh-oh. Oh, God, he's working for Donald Trump.
What?
No.
Hair.
Nope, not at all. So, Big Jim and Pauline. Big Jim is trying to convince Pauline to paint stuff to help Melanie so that he can gain his son's love back, and so that he and Pauline can connect. And she's like, I can't see anything anymore, Jim. He's like, but can you feel something?
Do you feel that?
I don't know that song very well, but in any case, he puts her brush to the canvas. It's a new beginning, a fresh start.
Oh, it's romantic. And he didn't have to lock her in there this time to get her to do it.
And it totally works. Totally works.
She draws a terrible paint. She's the worst painter.
She's
painter
not a great not a great painter. But also, you know, blood. She sees blood dripping off the back of the canvas. That's not good. Nope. Junior gets the journal, his mom's journal, and he and Lyle go through it, and Lyle continues to be crazy, and he's like, well, I always interpreted, you know, she trusted me to interpret. That's why she sent them to me, and I interpreted all of them as we're gonna be in heaven together, and we're gonna be kissing and hugging.
Because you saw that picture of them, like, of two children skipping into the wilderness.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Sam's still here, I guess.
Yay, I like Sam.
He has a moment with Rebecca, which leads me to think, oh, maybe they'll be paired together.
Yeah.
Eventually, Rebecca has a scene with Melanie that I actually quite liked. It was like the best scene in the episode, where she talks about the reason why she needs facts, because her mother was taken from her when she was 8, and she really wanted to know why, and she thinks knowing is better than believing. And Melanie's trying to get her to change her ways, and I just thought, great. This is a great scene about people.
That was great, but then what happens after when you have the blood transfusion situation?
Yeah, let's talk about lima beans.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, lima beans. Before we get into the lima beans, she's already been showing that all kinds of weird things have been happening. She can't explain that Melanie came back from the dead. So how do you explain the science of Melanie? That's the core problem I have with all of her theories with Melanie. It's like you've basically been showed something that is scientifically impossible, to bring this person back from the dead and have them be the same age. This is scientifically impossible. So why are you trying to react to this situation like this is a science problem?
And she gave of her own self. She gave her own blood, which is very
a lot
risky.
Of sacrifices this week.
Like, I don't believe in you, but I will give you my blood.
Yeah, and Julia offers to sacrifice herself to save everyone in the town, save Melanie. She's like, take me instead. Maybe I feel like now that Pauline is dead, that's the death. I feel like maybe we're not going to get double deads. Oh yeah, because we see her in the
which
preview
I was
kind of
bummed. I wish they hadn't put that in the trailer for next week.
That would have been a big surprise.
I wanted to not know.
Yeah.
Well, now we know where the hole goes.
Yeah. So in any case, they need to give her a blood transfusion, and they don't know how to get her blood type, and then Rebecca just says like out of like. I was talking with someone about the 60s Batman show, and when the Riddler gave riddles, it would be like, I'm your bear friend. It's like bears. Bears live in the forest. Forests have trees. Trees are made of wood. Woody the woodpecker. Peck her. A kiss. He's at the lipstick factory. And I feel like that's what, it was just lima beans. It just felt like out of nowhere. Science, though,
and
fine.
Rebecca Pine said it, so we believe it.
Fine. If it's real science, great.
Can somebody let me know if it's real science? I haven't been able
legit
to
science, like in a journal.
They found them super easily. Blah blah blah. We got this painting. It says all 8 hands. Crap. Like that's the thing. That should be the coolest thing in the world. All 8 hands teaming up.
Because we've been moving towards that the whole season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have 8 hands because Angie's dead. What do? Of course, Melanie is both 7 and 8. So we got a whole... Here, Junior, you're her lover now. Sam, you were her lover 25 years ago. Not weird. No. Grab her hand. And she's healed. She's better. And she's wearing lipstick.
Yes. That's how we know she's better.
That's how we know she's better.
I had time to purdy up.
However... the dome decides to take her back via a huge hole, which now maybe leads to a tunnel. Junior wants to go inside. Everyone says no.
No, Junior.
And Lyle, in his 3-piece suit, notices Big Jim and Pauline going off together, and they kiss, and it's pretty cool. You know, because Big Jim actually believed in her, and wasn't that great? But then he comes away with blood all over his mouth, and it's because Lyle couldn't handle it, and he stabbed her in the back. Terrible.
Were they just so wrapped up in their embrace that they didn't like to stab someone, to puncture someone like through ribs, or I mean, even if you got under the ribs, like, you know, down between the hips, under the ribs. Like, wouldn't you feel that jarring as you're kissing them?
I think for Big Jim, he was so caught up in the moment. I would buy that. He's just so in love with Pauline.
Because he's all about him.
The thing that weirded me out though was as an audience member, you should hear something.
Right.
So that's the thing that bothered me, was that, okay, well, Big Jim might not notice because he is so caught up in this moment that, like, the earth could fall around him and he wouldn't notice. But for us watching it, we're like, why didn't Lyle make any noise?
Or like
Lyle's the loudest, weirdest person here. He should be making noise.
Do you think it's because it's network, they had to play it down?
Yeah, and also, I mean, a stab isn't necessary. It's a very quiet kill. It's a quiet kill on purpose. I mean, granted... Like maybe you should have we heard a rustle or something.
Or just him pulling Like pulling the
pulling the
knife
knife out, you know.
Yeah.
But
Is that a deer? It's Joe in a bush.
yeah,
No, it's
I don't know.
Lyle.
It didn't bother me that much. But then, you know, of course, Big Jim beats the crap out of Lyle and then stabs him in the chest. And Lyle's like, "Thank you, because now I can go to heaven with her." But you won't. You're going to hell, pal. Why? Because you're a murderer, you big dummy.
He didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo.
But I kind of love that Jim stabbed him. Didn't see it happening. I was all like, whoa.
Yeah, I was so happy for him because everybody's just like, seriously, Lyle? Seriously? You're a jerk.
I hated this ending.
Be gone.
And I feel, well, let's get into
You
predictions.
hated that Lyle died?
No, well, yes, but let's get into predictions.
It wasn't in the cards.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
I hate this ending because I feel like Big Jim had an opportunity to receive some depth as a character, and this felt like a machination to just make him angry and pissy again so he can just be a big shit like he was last year. That's what I think. I feel like it was a cold, calculated plot development specifically to make him a villain again, purely. That's what it felt like to me. I felt like Pauline was a compelling character. There was no reason to kill her off. I can't get on board with it.
I think for me, having seen the scenes from next week, I think in that situation, if Big Jim was like, if we're talking about a person in that situation, I do think any person who had seen that would have turned around and killed Lyle, knowing that he's a murderer. But what bothers me is that the next episode, you have him going on some sort of like crazy rampage.
Murder rampage.
And I'm like, now that reads false to me because he's Dome Jesus now. He's trying to help the people and save them. And why do we have him going on a murder rampage instead of being at his wife's side in her dying moment?
Well, I feel like there's... go ahead.
Oh, just going off what you said, the fact that here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. We have this hole, right? And we know that Melanie went into. I think that the dome will continue to shrink and everyone's going in the hole.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going because Big Jim is up top in the ground going crazy. So now, even though they're afraid to go into this unknown hole.
Season 3, Under the Ground.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They're all going under the dome. They're going under the dome. And there could be gnomes. But I'm just saying, for Jackie, some gnomes would be great. But I'm thinking everybody's going under. And you have to have crazy-ass Big Jim because now people have to be compelled. They have to have motivation to get away from the crazy man. So why not jump in a hole?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I do think that hole is going to lead from what we saw in the previews to like out of town or under town or something.
There's going to be a whole new town under the first town.
And that would be a hell of a cliffhanger.
That would be a hell of a cliffhanger.
And if they didn't do season 3, then we just assume they all got gobbled up.
Secret Space Town would be pretty cool.
Or a movie.
Wrap-up movie?
Do you think there'd be a movie?
There could be a wrap-up movie.
Maybe.
TV movie. It's possible. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back next week with the finale of this show. Jacque Borowski, where can people find you?
At 123 Jackie B on Twitter, at 123 Jackie, no, at 123 Jackie B on Instagram, at 123 Jackie_B on Twitter.
Okay, and Carrie Long.
You can find me on Twitter at Comedia Carrie. That's COMEDIACARRIE. You can also check me out on other AfterBuzz TV shows for Legends and the upcoming Madam Secretary and Homeland.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Hell yeah. All right, folks, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MATTLIEBERMAN. You can also find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube. You can find me here doing Ray Donovan, The Strain, The Nick, Doctor Who, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Sleepy Hollow comes back next week. It's going to be the dopest. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Thanks, folks. See you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.